Welcome, everyone. Thanks again for joining. My name is Christopher Mowers. I'm the Zoho team lead and developer at AspenTech CRM. Would you give me a thumbs up or something in the chat just to make sure you can hear me okay and that you can see my slide deck? Let me know. Okay, great. Thank you. Perfect. So today we're going to talk about chatbots. We're going to talk about SalesIQ, Zoho SalesIQ, and how to produce chatbots using SalesIQ's feature called the Codeless Bot Builder. Before we get more on the technical end, though, before we dive into the dragging and dropping and all that, one of the things that I've found out as I talk to people who are interested in implementing this kind of technology is, there's the technical question. There's always the technical questions of how do we do it, literally. But then there's also very often the question of, and what should it be like? Or if they don't have that question, maybe sometimes that's still missing, right? And that's something that's really important to understand when you're designing a chatbot, is really how it should function. And so we're going to cover both of those areas today. And we're going to start by thinking about what a chatbot should do. And so the very first thing we want to do is to identify our goals. You can use these chatbots for a lot of different things. We're going to cover a sales use case today, and we're going to cover a customer service and support case today. But really the sky is the limit in terms of use cases. If you've got people talking to people right now, and you'd like to take some of that burden away, then a chatbot could certainly be used. So you want to think about, what are your goals here? Do you need to increase your sales? Do you need to reduce your response time? Do you need to save some labor hours? What is it? And then determine the time frame. I mean, typical business goal setting. I'm sure nothing new here for anyone on this webinar. But I think when it comes to thinking about a new technological solution here, in an unfamiliar area, you want to think about it this way: what is this going to do for me? And that will help you to frame up what the chatbot should actually do. The next exercise, when you start to think about user interaction, is you want to start to think about these customer journeys. And so how does a customer interact with you today in a sales process, in a support process, something like that? Is it how you want it to be? Is there anything you would change? And then you can start to actually map out how it should be. How would you like that interaction to flow? What are the stages? This can be done, in pen and paper. It can be done in any sort of, design tool or whatever you like. But thinking about how the process should flow prior to approaching the actual Codeless Bot Builder is also a good idea. I'll show you later, though, that the Codeless Bot Builder is actually really great for visual design, but you want to be into the process a little bit. You don't want to be totally engineering the process in Codeless Bot Builder. You want to first have some time to think about, how does the user interact with us today? What should change? And then, so how should it be? And especially when you're thinking in this Codeless Bot Builder space, you want to be thinking about the interaction between your own team as they respond to customers or whomever, and how this bot can alleviate it, but then how the bot and the human team member can work together. And I'm going to show you more of that today too. So once you've got your process mapped out, you really want to get into the flow of conversation. This is sort of the most detailed level of the flow. And you can actually start to do this in the Codeless Bot Builder, I think. And I'll show you that. But I've got some stages here. This is all drawn from research I've done into best practices for chatbot design. But you're looking for the conversion path, right? Or conversion, is often a sales term. If we're dealing with another aspect of the business like support, maybe conversion is not the right path, but the whatever sort of satisfaction metric you're looking at, identifying how we get there and find out, the ways the user could interact with that chatbot. They're going to ask questions, are they going to raise issues? What sorts of things do your users approach you with today? Start to identify how the conversation can run. You'll create, your diagram. We talked about that already, but I think at the conversation level, the SalesIQ chatbot the builder can do it. Sorry, I have a little bit of background noise here. I apologize. And so we'll show you that. Think about natural conversation and what it should sound like. I wouldn't recommend that you hide that this is a bot. I think people see through that pretty well these days, and it's a lot of effort for probably not a lot of reward. So I would maybe lean into the fact that it's a bot, but be sure that your bot is using natural and conversational language. You typically want to use quick replies rather than spending a lot of effort to try to think about all the different verbiage a customer might use. And SalesIQ is set up to work that way. So I'll show you that too. The other piece that I know I mentioned it once already, I'm going to mention it more throughout this presentation, is to think about how to connect to human handoff. One of the really nice features of SalesIQ is that the bot and the agent can work together, and there are a couple different ways that can happen. And so it's not that the bot needs to, totally replace the agent, but the bot can assist the agent in handling, the initial questions and firing the automations related and taking away some of the manual work. And you can have your team of agents that are talking to these customers, their efforts can go that much farther because they don't have to do all that. They can just focus on solving the problems that they are particularly well suited to solve, or to execute whatever they need to execute. The other thing I recommend building into your process here is just testing and refining. You want to make sure on your calendar to review how things are working and look at those and think about, if it's working the way you want it to, or if there are opportunities for improvement. Definitely iterate on this, because you'll get better at it. You'll see, a lot of times when we start in these sorts of things, it is sort of a well-informed guess, right? How your users are interacting. I mean, depending on what your situation is today, maybe you have a lot of hard data. I'm sure it depends on your business and your industry, on how your users are interacting. But a lot of times it is sort of a well-educated guess. And so seeing how the chatbot performs, seeing what options people take, seeing what load comes off of human agents can help you to shape future versions of the chatbot. One key point I wanted to emphasize, speaking of the conversational natural language, is to use language your audience understands, and be conversational and avoid jargon. I think that's really important. It's really easy, especially if you have technical folks. I mean, I'm a technical person. You have people like that working on these things. You want to definitely get other segments of your business involved in terms of how it speaks. Like, is it true to your brand, but is it also accessible? That's a really important point too. One thing, just like with email marketing or other types of social marketing, is you want to have a clear call to action. These are sales examples, to have a buy now button, a discount, to collect their email. But whatever you're trying to accomplish with the chatbot, this is really your chance to encourage the user with language that you choose to do a particular thing. And unlike with maybe just a person, the user can actually do that via integration, right? Like if it's sign up for an email newsletter, or if it's to purchase a product or something like that, right? I mean, this puts the interface for that directly in front of them. And so you definitely want to make sure that whatever your main goal of this bot is, that you provide the user the opportunity to do that thing. I'll show you some examples of that here shortly as well. All right, so I've mentioned this a couple times. This is something that I think is a really big deal, is to think about how your bots and your agents are going to work together. In SalesIQ, there are three main ways that this happens. There's one, the live agent handoff, and one of the bots I'm going to show you today has this where at a certain stage, with this one, no, at any point, they can just simply say, talk to a human. They can just click the button and then they're to an agent. You can turn that on and off, but that's one thing that if someone really, if your business is such that you want people to be able to bypass the bot, you can give them that option. Another one is conversation monitoring. So one feature of SalesIQ is that when users are interacting with bot, agents can have visibility into that interaction. So if you have people on chat support or chat whatever that are not actively chatting, and part of their job is to monitor these conversations, they see something that they want to jump on, they can do that. Finally, the choose to connect. So in the live agent handoff, the first example, the user can just click at any time to go to a human. There's also a more controlled approach where under certain circumstances, you can provide them that option and say, I'd like to talk to an agent. So I would think a lot about this in your planning. I would think a lot about how do you want to augment what your team can do with a bot, rather than, let's make the bot do everything and let's think about all of the rather complex logic that we would have to consider to make them handle everything. Let's start by taking away, the menial, taking away the routine, taking away the things that we can do via integration, and then keep the agents around for the tough problems that they're well suited to solve. We mentioned testing and iterating. Here's a process for that you can use. These slides will go out via email along with the recording of this webinar. So, going back through the conversations, you can access that in SalesIQ. You can also conduct surveys and get feedback on experience. You can even provide tools inside the chatbot where people can rate. There's like a rating, 5-star kind of a situation where they could give feedback. You look at these things, make updates, and retest. I would get this into some sort of a maintenance schedule. All right, so like I said, I have 2 live examples here that I've pre-built and I'm going to talk through. And then I have a third small one that we'll build in real time so I can show you some of the dragging and dropping. This first example is a customer service focused chatbot. Now you can build one chatbot to handle more than one area, but just for simplicity's sake, I did it this way. So this chatbot does a couple of key things. It allows users to report that they're having an issue with their product, and it will take a couple different steps. I'll show you those. It also routes general inquiries to an agent, and then it simulates an order tracking integration. Let me bring that one over. I'm here in SalesIQ, and if I just go to settings, if you go to Zobot, they'll be here, and you can add them. So we'll go to my customer service demo, and it's set to Codeless Bot Builder. And here it is. So you can see the UI sometimes is a little messy, but it is essentially in the style of a flowchart. and you have these cards, and these cards do different things. So let me just give you a couple demos of this bot, and then I will show you some of the key aspects of how it's working. So if I go right here to test my bot, this is embeddable, by the way, of course, on your website, and it also will work, depending on the cards you choose, it will work with any number of different messenger options, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, I think iMessage, a few others. So we can look at that too. So we've got this initial greeting here. Thanks for visiting. How can we help you today? I'll choose I want to track my order. What is your order number? And I'm just going to punch some number right now. And we got back your order is scheduled to arrive on December 16th. So the way that's working is I have this card called a plug. And what a plug is, this is the Codeless bot builder. But what a plug is actually it plugs us in to some code. So with this example, if you did have like an integration to your fulfillment service or something like that, and you wanted to check the status of an order, we can write code that would bridge the gap between the Codeless bot builder and another system, so that then you can keep this setup codeless, but you can retrieve that. And so you can see if you look at this card here, your order is scheduled to arrive on arrival date. This is the date that is returning from that plug. And so that's one way we can sort of structure a path here. I'll show you another branch. Let's say my product is not working. Describe the issue you're having. See, I need to reset my password. All right. Now we've landed in this card called an answer bot. An answer bot you can have actually on its own too, if you don't need more sophisticated logic, but I really like it now in this context. The answer bot is an AI-based bot that Zoho has built that searches your knowledge base. So if you have a knowledge base, either in SalesIQ or in Zoho Desk, knowledge base just being a series of how-to articles, help articles, things like that, then this will use text-based searching to try and suggest articles from your knowledge base. And so I had in my knowledge base for SalesIQ this article, How to Reset Your Password. And if I click it, you can see this is just some sample text that I uploaded. But that's all AI driven. You don't need to build any logic for that, which is really nice. And additionally, I have taken the option here to integrate with OpenAI. That's something you can turn on. It's not on by default. But if you want the answer bot to be even a little bit smarter using large language model, you can enable that with an integration to OpenAI. Just keep in mind, if you're going to do that, that means that the data you're sending is going to OpenAI. So review the terms of service for that. Make sure that it's in line with what your terms of service, what terms of service are acceptable to you as an organization. But from a data privacy perspective, if you're okay with the data going to OpenAI, then you can enable that. It's not required though, and the one without the integration works well too. So I can say this answers my question, at which point it's going to conclude. It would go to this end chat card here. We're so glad we could help. Have a great day. That's where I routed it. Let me actually go back again and show you what happens. What happens when I type some nonsense answer. So let's say if I just type a couple letters. You see you have this option too. I'm sorry, I couldn't find any resource to answer you. Could you please try rephrasing your question with this I need more help option? All right. So if I say I still need help, I've got this ringing the humans. This would transfer you to an agent. That's what I built in here. This would transfer you to an agent. Now I'm offline, so because I'm offline, we went to the next stage here. It looks like my human colleagues are busy at the moment. I'm adding a support ticket for you so that one of them can reach out. So what is your name? Because I've already typed my issue, I'm not asking for that again, but I do need an email address. And so let's use for the moment. Thank you. Here's your ticket number. An agent will be in touch shortly to help. And you can see I've actually integrated here with Zoho Desk. And so I'm past, I've set the issue that they've described. And you can set these other things. And so if you're in Zoho One or if you have Zoho Desk, you can integrate with Zoho Desk and create a ticket. So you can see that this is not super complex, but there are layers to this flow, right? It's like, well, let's first try to answer it using the answer bot, using AI, using a knowledge base. That's not working. Let's see if someone's available. Maybe that's the quickest way to resolve this. And then if no one's available, we can put in a desk ticket. So that's one way that I've constructed it. Your process might be different. But the thing that I want to emphasize here too is if you think about when did I ask for their information, I really thought about when to ask their name, when to ask for their email address. And different organizations may have different opinions too, but I tend to think that you really want to be careful about asking for too much upfront. I think that people are skeptical and suspicious of that. It depends on who they are and what the purpose of this is. If it's for your existing customers only, maybe that's not a problem. But I structured it in such a way that I'm asking for it sort of at the right time, in my opinion. And so they're already invested. They're going to get help. The other branch here, it actually goes to the agent and the desk ticket just right away. And so I don't really need to show you that whole thing. But if I say I have another question, it's going to do the same process. How can we help you? And then it's just jumping to that path of looking for an agent, putting in a desk ticket. And so you can use paths for multiple things. I'll show you what that looks like. Again, this is a little bit messy, but let me just click through a couple of these cards here. And so if I look at this welcome card, this is a card that is called a single choice card. And so I've provided 3 choices. And you have these spaces where you can save data to use later on. And there's the visitor fields and there's the bot context. And so the visitor field is associated with the visitor, which means that, using cookies, if that user comes back, those properties are typically still attached if they haven't cleared anything. So like if they set their name at some point, or if we know their name, then that will follow them. And that's a reason to use a visitor field. Bot context is more just for this kind of this one run. And so I created a field that is called need, and I'm saving whatever to that field need, which allows me to use a criteria router. And so if the context variable need is I have another question, we're going to follow this path. If it's product support, we're going to follow this path. If it's order tracking, we're going to follow this path. And so the way I handle general inquiry is I ask the question and then I send them to this forwarding card. Whereas product support, we had described the issue you're having, we had the answer bot, and then if it's I still need more help, we're going to this forwarding card. Right. So you can jump into different branches. I do wish that these connectors were not sometimes so messy. You can kind of drag them around. And then there's like an auto arrange, which as you can see, sometimes is great, sometimes is not. But altogether, this is still way better than having to, essentially build this from code. It would be a lot more work and a lot harder to read if it was in code. So even though sometimes the UI is less than perfect, I do like this approach. And I'll tell you, build it with this Codeless bot builder every time, because if I need to use code, I can use a plug, and I can take care of that. So this is that first customer service demo example. I want to show you another chatbot, a sales-focused example. And so I provided a couple of different options here just to highlight different possibilities. One is that users can easily connect to a live agent at any time. We've opted in this example to give them that option. I've also integrated ChatGPT and OpenAI to summarize key details of the customer's requests. And I want you to see what that looks like. Scheduling is made easy. We have a direct integration with Zoho Bookings that allows this user of the chatbot to schedule on your calendar. You can go back and forth with people over email, or you can just let them schedule right on your calendar according to rules that you've set for when you're available. Additionally, we're going to capture the lead in CRM, in Zoho CRM, for follow-up. And so the idea here is, let's set up via integration so that whomever needs to take next steps with this potential customer doesn't have to handle all of that. They can simply, look at the lead in CRM, look that they have an appointment, and they have all the information and can go from there. So another sort of simple example, but shows off some of the other features here of the Codeless bot builder. So back in here, I'm going to go into the sales demo. I go to the Codeless bot builder. And so let's test this one. So this sort of started under the assumption that they had expressed interest in the product. We're starting with that assumption. So tell us more about your needs, including time frame and other important factors. This is mainly to demonstrate to you how ChatGPT can be used should you want to integrate with ChatGPT. So I've got this lengthy text here that I'm going to paste in, like if someone really wrote a lot. So this is Green Grow Agritech, details their needs and how they think that Zoho and SalesIQ could help them. And the assumption here is that the sales organization is an implementer of SalesIQ. That's the assumption I've set this up with. So we're going to send this lengthy description of here's everything we need. And so here's what comes back from ChatGPT based on your needs. So SalesIQ and Zoho One can offer solutions for these things. For example, Zoho One's inventory management and financial tools can help you manage a diverse range of produce and streamline your financial processes. This is all cued off of what they said. Certainly, you would need to sort of test and configure this to work well in your circumstances, and I'll show you a little bit of what that looks like. But it's pretty cool that it comes in here and could be a really nice feature. Could also be something to consider. Maybe you wouldn't want to send it back to them like I did here. But maybe there are other ways to use ChatGPT to help your sales team. So we got some options here. I'm not interested. It's simply going to end it. Oh yeah, the call to action here. Would you like to schedule a consultation to discuss how Zoho can help your business? So let's schedule a free consultation. All right, I set this up in Zoho Bookings. If I actually show you just a little bit of that, I've built this out in sort of a bare bones way, but Zoho Bookings here, this is in Zoho One. If you have Zoho One, you've got Zoho Bookings. I set up this consultation called a 1-hour consultation. It's free, and then just some rules around that, who can do it and things like that. So this is here in Zoho Bookings. So now in the Zobot, let's book now. I'm the expert for this. We'll select a date and time. The times look a little bit weird because of time zone configuration, but it's checking my calendar essentially, and we're looking, and we'll say, okay, I could do the 28th at, I guess, 6:30 a.m. That's just the way I have it set up right now. And so we proceed, and you can say, my name is, I'll just go with the example here. All of this that I'm showing you, all of this like data collection and all that is built in Codeless. Did not have to write any code to build that. So it's really nice that, I mean, you can just look at your calendar. You can look at the rules you've configured for availability in Zoho Bookings. So like if you only want to take these appointments between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays or something like that, you can set it that way so that they're not going to schedule meetings with you that you're not prepared for. But you've got this little here, and they can reschedule here. They'll also get from Zoho Bookings all of the emails that are associated with Zoho Bookings. So like reminder emails, the ability to reschedule there, all that is configured in Zoho Bookings, but we've put Zoho Bookings right in front of them. And this is what I was referring to when I said with calls to action, that you can put the UI right in front of them and have them do it right there. Don't send an email to say like, hey, reach out to this person so that you can get them in the CRM and you can maybe set up some time. Get them in your calendar, if that makes sense. Get them in your CRM just right from here. And Zoho Bookings is also set up in my case to create them as a lead if they're not in CRM. So that would happen too in that case. If we do this a little bit differently, and we say, let's talk more about these. Let's say I'm a mid-sized manufacturer with multiple facilities. I need help with product support and with managing new leads. Something like that. See, and so this is ChatGPT saying, so if I understand correctly, you're looking for system product support lead management. Talks about how SalesIQ can help and how Zoho One can help. And then, would you like to schedule a consultation? And this time I'm going to say, let's say request a call back. And so what I did in this circumstance is, okay, we're going to get some more information because we didn't get it from bookings this time. So what's your company name? And right. And so we cannot wait to connect with you, talk to you soon. What has happened here is that this company has been added as a lead in the CRM because I have CRM integrated. And so, according to your rules in CRM, then you can handle that however you want. So if a new lead is created, maybe there's an email notification that is sent, maybe ownership is assigned based on some territory management or other ownership assignment rules. Maybe a task is created for follow-up. Maybe a call is scheduled. All of that workflow automation that can be done in CRM would be kicked off from here. And so no longer does your team have to sort of know what's next when an inquiry comes in this way. You can simply put the rules, put the automation in place so that the things that need to happen can happen and your team can just respond accordingly. One more thing I want to draw your attention to on this one. I don't think I mentioned it. Yeah, I haven't tested those. Let's just see if we say something like that. This is where ChatGPT, I think, is still, yeah, still, I think, areas to improve. But you'll notice here we've got this connect with a human. And that's a setting, like I said. So that can be turned on or turned off. But if you have it here to always be here, then at any point, if someone's frustrated or if they're just like, I don't want to do this, they can hit that and it'll transfer to one of your agents. And so you can have that enabled or not, but it's an option. I'll show you how I set up the ChatGPT here. You can use the visitor's latest response. You can use the context variable, or you can actually ask for input. I used a context variable because I wanted to use it elsewhere. So here in this visitor fields card, I asked this question and I saved it to the context variable called needs. And then I used it here. And so what I said, literally this is what I said to ChatGPT. You can see it. Summarize the needs in light of what Zoho SalesIQ and Zoho One offer and state them back as a confirming response. Be sure to provide a few examples, ask if they would like to schedule a consultation. So I said that to ChatGPT, and that's what comes back. And then you provide the follow-up actions, and that branches your flow here. All right. I want to build one from scratch, just a very simple one, just so you can really see sort of the dragging and dropping and some of the other card options. So from here, I'm going to go to Zobot. I'm going to click Add. You see Codeless Bot Builder here. I would almost always use Codeless Bot Builder. SalesIQ scripts is code-based, and there's, to my knowledge, nothing it can do that the Codeless Bot Builder can't if you configure, or if you figure that you can always use plugs with the Codeless Bot Builder. Zia Skills is 100% AI. It has a little bit more AI features, but then you don't have the ability to structure it as well. You also can use these third-party platforms. It's got Dialogflow, Watson Assistant, and Azure. I've been told that ChatGPT is coming here, but it's not here yet. And then also webhooks if you have some bot elsewhere. And so we'll stick with the Codeless Bot Builder. I have to name my bot. And we'll call this, I don't know, we'll call it bot 3 for now. You can describe it. You can choose your brand if you have multiple brands in SalesIQ. For those who aren't that familiar with SalesIQ, it'll basically allows you to manage multiple brands, like multiple websites or something like that, from the same account here. Likewise, you choose a department. And you can see the channels here. So we've got website, we've got mobile, we've got Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. And then you've got bot working hours that you can configure. So, you know, if you want an experience where during the day when your agents are on, the agents get the inbound chats, but then in the evening or something like that, it goes to the bot. You can configure all that. You can think about that and do it however you want. Likewise with the website, we're not going to get into these settings, but you can determine who should get what bot when and all of that sort of stuff. How to handle idle chats. And there's a lot of settings here in terms of like just customizing the experience. This is that operator handoff I was describing, where you can say connect with the human, yes, yeah, sure, why not? Hide outside business hours. You can turn it off just like that. All right. So what you get right away is this. You get a start and you get a welcome card. The welcome card, I don't really like the welcome card because it doesn't allow the user to do anything. And so you need to immediately follow it up with another card. And I find it's more natural, in my opinion, I find it's more natural just to have the first card rather than do this, and then you're gonna have to ask the question or whatever. It just, I don't. Maybe there's a reason that you would want to use this, and that's fine. But for me, I usually actually delete it. All right, so we're going to add a card. And we've seen a lot of these cards, but let me show you some more. You've got the ability to share articles. That's not in an AI fashion. That's through logic. Links. Display carousels are really nice too. And I didn't come up with an example for one for you today, but let me show you what this looks like. You can provide images, titles, and descriptions and links. So like if you want someone to, in real time in a chatbot, be able to sort of browse through a catalog of options with images, that can be done. And it can be built statically like this, or it can be done dynamically by a context variable. So there's even like logic that can be performed. You'll see though, as I'm clicking through here, it'll show you what platforms support this and which ones don't. So in this case, website is supported, Facebook is supported, but mobile, Instagram, and WhatsApp do not have this. So that's something that you want to think about, what channels you're going to use your bot on. You want to stick to cards that are available on those channels. Got lots of other ones. I mentioned the slider scale if you want to get feedback from someone, as well as the rating, date and time slots, files. And here's all these integrations. So add lead, contact, deal. This is an integration with Zoho campaigns here, mailing list. Get payment. You can actually sell a product over the chatbot and get paid for it. But we're going to use, let's use what's called visitor fields. And what visitor fields does is it allows us to ask a question and get open-ended text. And so let's just say, the name can be anything. It's just for your reference. So like, thanks for visiting. Can I help you? And then you're going to choose the type of response. If it was like an email or phone number or whatever. In this case, a string is text. If you're not familiar with that term, string is just text. So I'm going to save the response in the bot context. I'm going to call that variable. Let's call it, I'm going to call it need once again. You can call it whatever. You're going to reference it later. Let's save it. And so let's go to the answer bot, and you can see on AI cards. And here's how you configure what it's going to search. So you've got SalesIQ resources, articles, FAQs, and small talk. You've also got Zoho Desk resources that you can use. I'm going to use the SalesIQ articles. That's all I'm going to use right now. Okay. I'm also going to turn on the OpenAI integration. That's again up to you if you want to do that. You can configure the text for the response. You can configure the text when the answer is not found, and then you can set actions for both. I won't do that just yet. I'll just leave it as it is. And so we test the bot. Here's how it goes. Thanks for visiting. How can I help you? I'd like to buy something. I don't think there's anything in the knowledge base about that. Yeah. So, but then again, our example of reset password. We'll come up with something. And so we don't have really anywhere to go here because we didn't provide any options. But if we go to the answer bot, we can then configure those. So let's say in this one, we'll probably say one is like, that answers my question. One would be like, I still need help. Those would probably be the two, right? And then if it's not found, probably the only option you need here is I need more help. Because they can just ask the question again. All right, so you can see that provided these 4 paths here. Failure is one that, and definitely in a production bot, you want to handle. This is like if something just goes wrong, and you want to just determine where to route them in that case, maybe directly to an agent. That might make sense. So that answers my question. Let's exit. And there's a special card for exit. There's end, sorry, it's end chat. And so here's your message. Thank you for contacting us. We'll use that. That's fine. And then for I still need help and I need more help, we're going to connect them to an agent. So let's do that. You can find that card too under forward to an operator. And you can allow to pick a department or not. You can manually specify, I only have one department, so not a big deal. All available operators are selected operator. And so I'm going to route, I still need help and I need more help to that same thing, which is forward to operator. And then right now I'm just going to end the chat if they're offline. This is where in the other example, I had to create a desk ticket. Right, so you see how this works now is, thanks for visiting. How can I help you? I'm not sure. I need more help. Please wait while I connect you to the operator. And then you can see here, I do this one a little bit differently. So chat forwarded to department action is triggered and the bot is inactive now. And so this would go to an agent. And then if they're offline, it would continue with this logic. So you can see you can build these actually pretty quickly. Let's add one more component. Let's say after that answers my question, before we end, I'll show you how the criteria router works. So let's do the single choice. Rather than getting some sort of text from them, let's provide some options. Let's just say, let's options, and let's just say, would you like to a product? This is getting, the language not super natural, but let's just say yes. No. Get rid of that. You've got your 2 specified options here. We'll save it in the bot context as purchase. And then now, because it's a single choice, we need to actually provide the criteria router, which is the other half of this. So if we go, criteria router is kind of like an if then, something like that, right? And so we'll add a rule. We'll say context variable purchase is yes. That's one rule. We'll add another rule. If context variable purchase is no. And you can also have a default rule. So like if none of the criteria is met, not matched. In this case, that would be the same. I mean, there would be no possibility of that. But now we've got these branches and we can branch off of that. So you could say, share a link, let's say, you can review our offerings here. And we'll get them. That's FinTech website in new page. Oh, yeah, sorry. And then otherwise we'll say end the chat. Have a nice day. That's fine. And I'll use this same one actually for all of these. Again, you could sort of expand all the little elements of this to be a more realistic scenario. But so if I go that route, let's say, how can I help you? Password reset. Here's my article that answers my question. Now here's the single choice. Would you like to purchase a product? Yes or no? I'll say yes. You can review our offerings here. Here's a link. The Aspen Text website. Have a nice day. So this is what I was saying too, that when you start to get in here, once you really know how the conversation should run, you can start to sort of build it. And it's relatively easy to disconnect these and then, you know, add a card and reconnect it and things like that. So it's a good visual tool and really, really nice for people who are not necessarily wanting to get into, you know, the like coding something like this, to be able to lay it out. And the fact that it works on all these different platforms too is a really nice thing. All right. So how can Aspen Text CRM help you to build an intelligent chatbot? We can do a number of different things if you're interested. We can help with design. We can consult. We can provide guidance. You know, if you want to take this on yourself, this is certainly something that users of Zoho can and absolutely do take on. And we can just provide support, assistance. We can do the development, the things that I showed you today. We can do those things. We can help to integrate the chatbot with your website, with apps, and then other channels I showed you. And then we also do that custom development, like I mentioned, with the plugs, where let's say you can build 90% of it yourself, but you need to integrate with some fulfillment software or some other thing outside of Zoho. We can write code and install it so that your chatbot will do everything that you need it to do. I hope that this was a helpful presentation for you today. I hope that you're now thinking about what might be possible for you and for your business, and how a tool like this can really help you to revolutionize customer interaction and to be innovative and getting bots to assist your human agents. And if you have any questions for me or would like to know more, certainly you can connect with us at aspen-tech.com. I'll also be sending out an email to the registered participants here with a recording and the slides for your reference. I look forward to connecting with as many of you are interested in connecting. I appreciate the time today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And thank you very much.